Hey, what's up? What's up? Welcome back to As Told by Us. So I don't know why I said it like that, but anyway, I'm gonna read a dilemma. Just as a disclaimer, I have not read this prior to me reading it out loud, so I might have some things to say in between. So here goes. I'm struggling with how I navigate a long-term friendship that has become emotionally draining. I've been friends with this person for over 10 years now, so much so that she's become family to me. Over time, though, I've noticed that our relationship feels very one-sided. I'm always there for her, listening, supporting, and encouraging her through various life challenges. But when it comes to my own struggles, it feels like she doesn't show up for me in the same way or even at all. I've tried to stay quiet about it and love her in the way I believe a good friend should. But it's also difficult. She really asks how I'm doing, and when she does, it feels like an afterthought. I've kept a lot of this to myself because I know she's going through a lot, and I do believe she loves me. But lately, I've been feeling emotionally drained, and I'm not sure how to balance between a supportive friend with taking care of my own mental health. Maybe I shouldn't be looking for her validation, for lack of a better word, but at the same time, I know it's important to have healthy relationships that aren't completely one-sided. How do I continue to be there for her without neglecting my own well-being? Where do I draw the line between being a servant friend and setting healthy boundaries? I don't want to walk away from the friendship, but I know I need things to change.
Am I the drama?
Are you the drama?
I think she knows the answer. Focus on your own mental health and focus on yourself. I feel like you're putting so much expectations on this friendship, and the one-sided part might be because it really is all happening on your end. I think the danger with perceiving yourself in this way is that you've made a lot of assumptions about how she's receiving what you're doing. So you would think you're doing all these things because that's what you'd want someone to do for you, but she's living her life and she might not even perceive your actions in that way. And I think the healthiest thing you can do is to take it easy and focus on your own mental health. It's not being selfish, I think.
I think that you need to expect less from people. And like I said, live your life. Just because you've been friends with someone for 10 years or for a long time, it doesn't necessarily mean you need to be friends forever. But even then, your friendship also needs to evolve and allow it to evolve. Sometimes you might be like really close friends. Sometimes you might be distant friends. Doesn't mean you're not friends. It just means you are in different season of your friendship.
The relationship ebbs and flows.
Exactly. The relationship goes up. Sometimes you guys, it's like really intense, and then sometimes it's like you catch each other when you catch each other. It doesn't mean you don't love each other. It doesn't mean you don't like each other. It doesn't mean you're not friends. It just means people need to also be given a chance to grow outside of you also. And maybe she also needs space away from you to find herself, and you keep like holding on. Like also let her go, and then also see who you are outside of that friendship. Make new friends. Surely this can't be the only friend you have, and just just let her breathe, and you also breathe. It's not that you are the problem. It's not that
she might not even be the problem.
Yeah, neither of you. Also, I don't even think any of them are the problem. I just think maybe you want a different relationship than she wants right now, and you can have a conversation about it if you feel that strongly, or you could just allow yourself to meet new people and go make new friends, and you might realize that you want differently, or there are other things, the other friends you can make and other things you can do with other people. And if you have harder times, or if you have struggles, you might need to find other coping mechanisms that isn't relying on your friend. And it's also really difficult to be that one person that somebody goes to all the time, and I'm not saying you did that, I don't know your situation, but like, she might also have been like, yo, this is too much even for me, vice versa. There might be things that you might think, hey, girl, that's too much for me to take on board. Go make new friends, man.
I think expectations kill a lot of relationships unnecessarily. Especially expectations that are not communicated. My approach to, friendships and whatever is, my approach is that I always go into a relationship or a friendship, they're both relationships, but I go into relationships with no expectations, and then I meet the person where they are. It makes life easier for me to not have expectations in that regard. Like, oh my gosh, you need to do this, and like I'm gonna meet you where you are, and if I'm happy with where you are, then I will adjust accordingly, type thing. So for example, I know that, for example, Ama's low maintenance, so so am I. I know that she's low maintenance, right? So I meet her where she's at. And for example, a friend who is more high maintenance, I also meet them where they're at. And it doesn't mean to say that, why are you offended?
I'm offended. But finish, I'll tell you why.
Why are you? Just tell me now.
I feel like that's not fair. I can be low maintenance, but it doesn't mean I'm fully low maintenance.
Does that make sense to any of you guys?
Yes.
I feel like the standard of I'll meet you where you are is very unfair, in the sense that, who are you then?
I'm water.
Just because she's low maintenance.
I'm water, so I fit into the mold. No, not to ignore, but
But you see, I'm also watery, and not necessarily meaning I'm just low maintenance all the time. But
yeah, so for example, you're water, I'm water as well, right?
Yeah. So where's the mold?
Then we water together.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No.
But anyway, my point is just to say that I think having high expectations of each other is unreasonable, particularly with adult relationships in general. She said something about, she'll ask me, I feel like when she asks me how I am, it's an afterthought. Why are you feeling like that? Why are you feeling like it's an afterthought? Because maybe if she had said, if you had maybe reached out to her and said, hi, how are you doing? Then she says, oh, how are you doing as well? That's not an
maybe
afterthought,
she means
but it's it was after the fact that you asked me.
Maybe she was like, I asked her how she's doing, and then she goes for an hour, and then after that she's like, oh, how are you?
But then you don't know what she was doing in that hour, right?
She could have. I'm not saying I said she talks about herself for an hour, and then she then says, oh, and you, how are you? And then now it's your hour to talk. Do you see
but
what
then
I mean?
What has made you feel like it's an afterthought?
Yeah.
I think because it was. Because I feel like this girl is gaslighting herself out of a situation that she sees it as it is. Probably her friend is slightly narcissistic, but not in a badly intentioned way. And she feels this burden and duty to stay being this person for this person because she's done it for so long. But she can feel that there's something wrong with this friendship. You need to just free yourself. It's okay. if your friend is kind of an asshole, it's okay too. You can still love her, but you're putting too many expectations on her, and you're not going to change her. But if you know that there's certain things that are crossing boundaries, one, you need to learn to set your own boundaries and tell her that I'm not equipped to carry this for you right now. And if she doesn't understand that, maybe she's not really your friend. And then also find do something else.
Be water.
This watery thing.
I didn't say watery. I said water.
It's watery.
Hey there, lovely listeners. So listen, running a podcast in Zimbabwe is quite the journey. It requires resources. And when I say resources, I mean money, time, and effort. Wondering how you can support us? Well, we've got you covered with InnBucks. Or World Remit if you're on the other side of the world and you'd love to contribute. Our InnBucks number is 077-810-3171. Whether it's the cost of a cup of coffee or a virtual high five, every little bit of your support counts. Remember, supporting our podcast isn't about funding our caffeine addiction, though it is in part, but your support keeps our podcast alive and thriving and helps us create more content, ensuring that our laughter echoes through your devices. Thanks again for being part of our community and for listening.
I'm thinking of all the friendships I've had for a long time, right? Those ones that have been 10 years plus, right? That's y'all. But then also, there are other people that I've known, let's say, since people that I've known since primary school. People that I've known since primary school, people that I've known since high school, that remember yesterday I sent a picture in the group chat and I said, this is not a person that I speak to daily or even monthly. I speak to her maybe twice a year. Doesn't make her less my friend. All right, but I check on you. You okay? How's it going? How's your life? How the kids? Everything all right? Do you need anything? No? Okay, cool. See you in another 6 months. And it's when I think, let me not say when I think of you, but when afterwards. But it's when I've got time and I'm sitting and I'm thinking, let me catch. And there are days where I would be I haven't spoken to this many people in a while, right? Let me check in and see how they are, right? And then maybe after that we don't talk for another little while, and then maybe they will come back and say, I haven't spoken to you in a minute. Again, doesn't make you less my friend. I have a friend who might only chat even once a year. Right? But when we chat, we cover everything what happened in the year. Okay, are you okay? Do you need anything? No. Okay, let's move on. If you need anything, yeah, actually, I think I need 1 to 3 things, and then we go through. But again, it doesn't make you less my friend. It just means the dynamic of our friendship is also different. Right? If you want to hang out, we can hang out. If you don't, we also don't have to. We don't have to be on the phone for 5 hours. I think sometimes we romanticize what relationships with friends should be, with what a best friend is. We make it into this thing that we see in movies, that you have to be doing sleepovers and you have to be texting every second of every day. This person knows your entire business. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's you might have 5 good people that know pieces of a story, and then maybe one day if you go missing, they'll all come together and then they'll conjoin their stories together and they find you, right? But you don't have to necessarily tell all your business to one person or make that one person your entire life. And I think when you do that, even if it's family, because she said, this girl is like family to me. Even your family, you might have siblings that know a little bit about you at a time, or cousins who know some things about you, but they don't have to, they're not entitled to know everything about you. But also sometimes you have to realize that some things are really heavy to put on one person, and you have to, take. And then sometimes you have friends that are there for the comedy, and then sometimes you have friends that are there for like the hard stuff, and then you have friends that are there just to hang out if you want to hang out, and then you have friends that are there to pray with you. Not all your friends can be all of that at the same time all the time.
I think with long friendships, we need to give each other more grace because we're changing and evolving over time. And sometimes I actually struggle with this because sometimes I feel like I'm a bad friend.
Yeah.
Because I like to hide behind the fact that I'm busy. Because like I don't want to open up about the tough stuff I'm going through. I don't want to have to talk about it. I want to talk about like, because I have friends who like, they call me, they send me reels every day, like this like inbox full of reels. Then I like reply maybe after like a month or so, And I'm like, yo, why don't I have the same drive to do that? Because sometimes I'm just like, yo, I'm going through the most. I know we're all going through the most. I saw your pic on IG. You're good. You're fine. We're okay. So, it's cool. But then sometimes when it's like real situations where it's like maybe bereavement or you have to go and help with this and stuff, and like, yo, I'm missing out on like so much. Or like now friends are having kids, that sort of thing. And they're like, yo, I want you to come see the kid and all that, And I'm just going like, yo, I'm dealing with all this. I'm dealing with like life has got hands like every day. I'm just trying to get to the end of the day and figure it out, And it's hard sometimes being like, because it was easier when we were younger. Because when we were younger, it's like, yo,
you're all on the same level.
You're all on the same level. We're in school. We're, there's an actual dedicated hangout time. There's break time. There was like, things like we used to bond over PlayStation. We'll just go over to the house. We play games all afternoon. But now it's like so different. You're dealing with so many subjective problems, and sometimes it's hard to be as available as you were before, because you're just going through like so much. And it's not that it makes it right, because even if everyone's going through so much, so you should still be able to. But sometimes even with friends, with family, it's difficult, where it's like, okay, if I pick up the phone and I ask, are you okay? You're going to have to ask me, am I okay? And I don't know. And I don't know if I want to talk about that part of things.
Bring back long conversations, man. Like just the way you've been talking about this right now. I just thought about that. Like, when was the last time you were on a 30-minute plus call with your friend just talking?
Like a DMC.
Like one that's not like one that's not a group call, but like a one-on-one.
Yeah.
That actually happened recently. Like one of my friends, he's back. Like he was out of the country for a long time. Then he came back. He's got a young daughter. He's like, yo, come see the kid. Well, so we're like sitting on a couch. So we used to like always sit like there's this bench, like there was our bench. We would just like sit and like talk. And we hadn't had one of those conversations in a long time. So now his baby's like asleep, right? And we're talking, and we talk for like 2-3 hours, right? And it just dawned on me that despite all these problems that seemingly have etc, like we're still those kids, like the same stuff. Like we're talking about anime. We're now like in our 30s, and we're still talking like, yo, do you see that scene? Oh, and I'm like, yo, he's got an entire family. He's dealing with this, I'm dealing with that. And it felt good, because during those long conversations, you start off being a bit like, but then when you tap back into the nostalgia of it, it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, by the way, I'm going through A, B, C, D. I'm trying to deal with this, etc. It becomes like safe. But it's hard to get to start those conversations.
There. How Amma just said that our brains are always just moving, and it's like we're talking TikTok reels. I was just thinking I would be so irritated if he kept me on a call for 3 hours because In 3 hours, do you know how much stuff I could have gotten done? Like if I'm texting you and working, I can do that. If I'm texting you and watching a series, I can do that. Man, put me on a call and I have to pay attention.
Bring those back. I
For
want
3
them
hours, I
back.
have
But
to
you
pay
see,
attention.
That's the thing I was talking about, because right now I'm actively trying to slow down and I'm trying to do one thing at a time. And boy, it's difficult. Because like even I'm so used to, I'm cooking, I'm listening to something, I'm working, something else is going on. I'm on the phone, I'm also scrolling and doing something else. And you find that we have watered down almost. I gave Chido a look. We've watered down almost everything. And it's so interesting how Six was saying you find yourself avoiding that vulnerable intimacy, which is really the true point of friendship.
Yeah.
And if I think about the dilemma, it's like we're now in these friendships where we just kind of tick the boxes of, okay, I'm maintaining the friendship.
Yeah.
But we're avoiding the times where you actually sit down as friends, and whether it's just like laughing or whatever, but we're not doing it anymore, and it's wild.
While Six was talking, I felt convicted. I actually did. I felt so convicted.
You should be.
Yeah. No, guilty. I really did feel convicted because I was like, we're so busy, and sometimes busy doing what? Because I just think about like, I really could spare a lunchtime. Let's just go grab a coffee and have a chat. And that's what, an hour of your time? Fine, because, okay, fine, maybe phone calls, I do get a bit like, I don't know, like, if you're calling me, I'm asking myself, why are you calling me? Like, I get nervous, like, is it a bad thing?
Permission to deepisa.
Yes, oh my gosh.
For me, I think maybe why I was a bit triggered by your like low maintenance water thing. I think in terms of friendship, for maybe I realized it, when was it? Was it last year? When you went through troubling times. And, you know, I remember I had a moment of just thinking like, how did we
get here?
And, you know, I remember at that point, it was one of those, I had no idea what was going on. And it was only when things got to a certain height where we all had to stop and be like, okay, let's pull into the situation. But then I just thought like, you know, that's so weird because, you know, when you're in school, when you're younger, we're doing everything together. Exactly. I know what you ate. I know what you're thinking. I know who you're talking to. I know what they're saying. I know what you're feeling about it. But then, now to get to a point where boom, crisis mode, and it's like we didn't know that this is what this person was experiencing. And it is like a feeling of guilt of saying like you can see how this like low maintenance thing, it's cute, but it's not cute because it's like we're justifying a certain distance that, you know, negates the whole point of friendship. So even if we take it back to the dilemma, I guess the other friend is being unfair in a certain way because it's like you're what can I say? You're allowing a friendship to become shallow or one-sided. And normally it's only when things get really bad that you notice. Because like even like with Six, your situation that you're talking about where it's like, oh, come see the kids, come do this. And Six is busy. And we allow ourselves to accept that Six is busy. Right?
Yeah.
Until something happens to Six that makes us all think, oh,
but what happened?
How did we all not miss it? And that's how. Because we've let that be a thing. And it actually really isn't good.
It's not good, yeah.
It's not good.
That's exactly why I said I felt really convicted, because sometimes I just think to myself like, I'm so busy, but sometimes busy doing what?
Yeah.
But now see that like I need like it needs to be a conscious effort.
to just be like, yo.
Yeah, but now here's my thing. I think also on the other end of it, we can spend 3 hours and talk about nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And how I look at it is if I come to you and I'm giving you an opportunity to tell me what's going on and you choose not to, right? Like I'm saying, we sit down, we have chats, guys, what's going on? Are you guys okay? And then you choose, obviously you pick and choose what you want to tell me, right? And then we spend the 3 hours. I'm like, oh, we had such a good day. Now I feel like I know things, right? I'm like,
But you
we
know
catch up.
what-
But like, I know what you wanted to tell me, right?
Yeah.
And so then it's like, it's not from my lack of trying. It's not even from my lack of giving Six the chance to come to me, or I've always left that room open, right? I've tried, I've come to you and I've said, are you okay? I've tried to let you open, but you chose not to open. So if something like that, if something happens to you, it's not my fault I didn't know.
Yeah, and you should.
Whose fault is it? You had the drugs.
It's so tricky because like I was saying about that doing one thing at a time, you know, there's conversations or experiences or encounters where we can, like if it's like once in a while, we can fake it. We can come and talk and,
But if it's
you know,
consistent.
like even the most depressed person you'll know from like one DMC,
Yeah.
that check-in where you're saying, I'm giving you a chance. It's not easy for me to be like, okay, not that
Oh my
you're
gosh.
actually, I'm drowning. No.
Yeah.
Sometimes even as the friend, you don't know it until we're in the situation and we peel and we depiece it. Because like, I mean, how many even just like podcast episodes have we had where, you know, we keep it at a certain level and it's cool. Yeah. Only for later something really heavy to drop and then we're all like, you know what I mean? And no one wants that moment every time.
Yeah.
You get, we might be catching up for the first time in years and I'm not gonna
It's not gonna be easy
do
to just
that.
be like, dog,
not even
I'm
the first,
eating.
not even the second time you get, because even like what Sis was saying, when you're having that conversation with a friend, he's going through something, but in his mind, my friend is going through something too. It's not the good time
not
to
a
drop
good
it.
time, yes.
And sometimes you don't even know what you're going to do with it once it comes out, because then now, imagine if Six tells something now he's crying.
Yeah.
it's like, oh shit.
And it's not because you wanted to, but because you've allowed yourself to spill that thing. Now you're on the ground, and sometimes you don't know
What's coming?
you know, your friend just has a baby. Six now can't be the baby.
Yeah.
No, he can't.
You don't wake the baby as well.
Yeah, but then I'm saying, but now you also have to be. I think also obviously the dynamic of the friendship will tell you how far you can go. Right? Sometimes you really be like, I haven't spoken to this dude in like 4 years. I really cannot. Right? But I do think that there are also times where if you also want to have a deeper relationship with people, you need to allow yourself to be vulnerable and to cry, you know, like, and see what happens.
But he's carrying a baby.
No, not with the baby, dude. But like, you know, I do think they are. But I'm sure Six, you have friends where you're like, I haven't spoken to this person. I haven't spoken to this person in like a month or 2 months, right? But I know that if I was to tell this person this one thing that's really heavy on me, they will know what to do with it. Right. Now, I don't know if that's you being vulnerable or if it's because that friend has made it comfortable for you to do it, or if it's, but I do feel like you have to give to get what it is that you're trying to get. If you want a deeper, meaningful relationship, you also have to give into it. You can't, like, it can't be surface level all the time and then you say, oh, but I don't have deep friends. Where are you going to get deep friends if you're not able to get deep with your friends?
I feel like we're broken because I can't think of a context or a situation where it's even possible to go that deep anymore. Because we're all moving, like you're saying, like I also have real relationships, not real, but real.
REEL.
And to us, that's normal, but it's not normal. Because when am I going to be vulnerable? Because first of all, even in my life, because this detox that I'm doing is even just like from TikTok, because I just realized I don't have silent time. Like I've thought more than I've thought in a long time in like these past few days, because I'm like literally forcing myself to be like, okay, I'm cooking, so that's all I'm doing.
In my thoughts.
And it's just like that silence, and I haven't been in that space for long.
Yeah.
So when will I even get to the point of being that deep with myself,
That
to the
you can
extent
then
of
be
experiencing that depth in
with
friendship?
others.
Yeah. I also think it's like trust and your relationship with yourself, you know. I remember like when I was in kindergarten, right? That was my first experience being bullied. And I didn't understand why I was being bullied. Like it didn't make sense. I was like, we're all preschool kids here. There's no reason. Why do you not like me? Right? And then there's only one day I enjoyed the whole of preschool. Like the whole of preschool.
Sheesh,
And this day,
I miss preschool.
where I got
What's his name?
I don't even remember that actually.
there were a couple of them. And the thing is the whole class would gang up. So I had this whole perception of
Did you go to black people's preschool? I'm so sorry, that had nothing to do with anything. But
yeah, I get no, but they were like the main bully was actually Brazilian. That's the thing. Yeah. And I actually got
So many questions.
yeah. So I was at this nursery school called Happy Nursery, which is like actually
The irony of that.
right. And then I got moved to Mimosa, like a mining nursery school, and that was even worse. So early on. And I only had one good day, and it was this day where like my aunts had bought me like this denim fit, and that day everyone thought I was cool. So I had this like perception that people are very conditional, like from an early stage. So the concept of friendship, right? So like sometimes when I'm talking to my partner, I'm talking to friends, I'm like, yo, bro, you're always saying you have ops. It's because in general I'm like always in defense mode, because I'm always like. Because I have like, you guys know the stuff which I go through in the music industry, like this person did this, these people did this, these people did this. And a lot of that stuff happens. And I guess it happens to all of us. But then I guess my mind is wired in such a way that it hyper focuses that I don't know who's actually a real friend, right? I'm always like assuming that maybe like this person, yeah, they're cool now. They might just switch up anytime. So it's very difficult for me to open up, because like sometimes I feel like it's a constant state of my back's against the wall, and I have to like, okay, I have to maneuver. And my survival tactic, like when I got into primary school and stuff like that, would just be like, I'll just blend in, like whatever they're talking about, I'll just find a way to blend in.
Water.
Yeah.
do you know what's the excuse?
What?
Oh, not opening up and telling people your business.
Oh, ha.
What's the excuse?
Gee! I don't have an excuse. I really don't have an excuse. I think, as I'm always saying, that it's like a reel, right? Like, even in my mind, sometimes, and I've had to tell myself, yo, you need to figure out what's going on with yourself before you can even be able to articulate it to someone else. And sometimes we don't give ourselves that time to do that, because it's always Monday to Friday you're at work, you have to keep it together. Saturday, Sunday, you're doing this and that, and you just don't give yourself enough time to just take a step back and be like, am I okay? I'm good.
Process.
And just process, like, you know, your feelings and for me, I think that's actually the thing. Like, it's just go. And sometimes it's weird. It's gotten to a point where it's even weird sometimes when someone says, how are you really doing? So why are you asking me that? I don't have time to think about how I'm actually doing, you know? And it becomes almost like an awkward conversation, and yet it should really be normal. But that's why when Six initially spoke, that's why I was like, yo, I feel convicted, because bring back the 30-minute plus conversations. Let's like normalize that. Because we've normalized texting. Hey, how are you? I'm fine. How are you? I'm good. Then you just kind of move on with life, and you think the other person is fine, but they're not, because it's just a snapshot. Like, we're texting. How am I supposed to write a PDF? I can't even do that. Like, you don't even have time to, So I feel very challenged.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I think when I go to really dark places, right? In the sense that, like, sometimes I'll be like in the depth of depression. I am actually clinically depressed. Okay, so I then get a sense of like dark humor, right? Where if you ask me how I'm doing, I might jokingly say something that's really dark, right? And I'm laughing because I'm really I'm joking about it. Don't mean it's serious.
But it's not funny.
but you see, I know that like to the other person, it's not going to be funny, right? So then obviously I'm not going to answer you. I'm going to say I'm fine. If you ask me, I'm going to be like, I'm fine. But like what I've gone through my head
What's your
what's
your unfiltered response?
I don't know, I can't think of what right now. I'll think of it, I'll tell you. But I think it'll be
ask you during the week, and when I do,
I'll probably tell. But like it kind of goes. So sometimes, so my dad passed, I don't know, 8 years ago now. Right. If you hear my sister and I talk, right, I could make a joke like, fatherless daughters, right? And I'm speaking to her, and like it would be like between me and her, it's funny. Right, you are fatherless. What are you talking about? Even like when Father's Day was
There's actually a status you posted. I was about to say, there's a status you posted.
Oh, my sister? Which is in my dad.
You said something, like your caption was actually, I was like, this man. Like,
I mean, my sister's Father's Day message was a picture of my dad's grave. Right, and she was like, Goldilocks taking the nap he deserves.
Yes, that's the one I think you reposted that.
I thought it was funny as hell. I thought it was so funny. I remember I even screamed and I went to her room and I was like, what the hell's wrong with you? And that was her WhatsApp status, right? But I just took a screenshot and put it, and I was like, my sister said,
I actually wanted, I scrolled up wanting to comment, right? But then something in me was like, leave it alone. Leave it alone. Like, this might just be a coping mechanism. I don't know. I just watch it and just move on with life.
It's so funny.
But I honestly thought like
damn.
And you were laughing at that.
I was laughing. I thought it was funny, right? But that's what I'm saying. Like the things that like we can throw around between her and I, for example, particularly about being a fatherist. I remember even we said something to my mom, shame, and she didn't laugh the way we laughed. But we were like, the fact that we don't have to get like Father's Day gifts, we don't have to do anything. So we spend all of our money, I guess, on Mother's Day, right? And then for Father's Day, we're like, and like for us, like when we said that to my mom, she didn't laugh the way we laugh. She didn't like she took it really like, there's something wrong with you, And so I think sometimes like even if I was to sit and to process how you really feel is a lot, right? And it's heavy even for you. Right. Where for me, like I'm saying, as a person who is already clinically depressed, right, I then have to turn it into a humor of some kind, which does become a coping mechanism, but it also makes me feel like it's not that deep, it's not that serious, right? Like I can, like something bad happens to me today, I will have a joke about it in 30 minutes. or sometimes it would just be like, I don't have, like, I will literally say to myself, dude, we don't have time for this. And then I go, because I have to work, I have to do things. I will be like, yo, this is rough. And then I'll be like, ish, I don't have time. Right? So then I kind of move on. So if you were then to text me after that moment and you say, how are you? I'm going to say, I'm fine. And genuinely, I am fine.
You feel like you're fine.
Had you asked me 20 minutes ago, I might have been like...
But would you have given me the raw response?
In the moment? I would have. I probably would have. I would have been like... Or, because I think sometimes if you do check, like there are times where there are moments where we'll be like, yo, guys, this has just happened with this. Like, I don't feel okay. I feel so swamped. This is going on, right? This could be after I've processed it, or this is after I've been like, it's okay. But, like, maybe the way then that I convey, like, I'm swamped is not how I felt about it 20 minutes ago when I was crying. Now it's just like, guys, I'm so busy. Things are going on.
This word busy.
I'm
like we're all broken in different ways.
We are.
For me, I think it's probably from when I was a kid. I used to just cry a lot. And I remember that not being received well and getting a lot of irritation and like, what can I say?
I can't imagine.
Not really. I used to cry a lot, but to the extent that it was like a thing, that way it's like crying, you get like that, like irritation. So I think it got to a point where I then didn't feel comfortable expressing myself in that way because it felt like something wrong or bad, or I wasn't going to get any empathy from it. So I just stopped. And I think for the longest time, I just didn't cry.
Like you stopped crying?
Yeah.
Even now, you don't cry?
No, I mean, now I'm better.
Like if you get like super overwhelmed by
I can't think
something.
of the last time I cried like out of sadness. Like I'm sad.
Not out of sadness.
Not out of sadness, just
frustration. I'm so overwhelmed right now. Let's say like work is so busy, you just feel so overwhelmed and you take 5 minutes to cry.
I think now that's more of a result of like having a healthy work environment. But I think the last time I stress cried. But even in that place, in the dungeon I was in, I don't remember crying. Oh, no, I cried. Oh, I remember crying. Yeah. But I think now is a lot better than the period I'm talking about. I'm talking like post-childhood into my 20s, where it was just like crying is not a thing. And it became a taught mechanism of, emotions not important, not good. Think, logic, push through things. And so I think it took some time of like unlearning that, because like even like what Chido was saying, where even just and even Kuda said it, where the time to just sit and unpack emotions is not there. And for me, what I realized is that I didn't even know how to go through that process of like identifying how do I feel about this thing.
But do you want to?
What?
Do you want to sit and process?
No, I'm talking about a process that I had to then learn.
Yeah, I'm saying, but today, if you had the time,
today I'm so much better at it because then, like I'm saying, at that time where I discovered that I don't know how to do that is when I had to say, okay, this is a problem. And I remember I have a friend who I think it's a mutual friend. Everyone knows Mookie, right? Knows him. Okay, whatever. So my friend who is in like psychology.
Yes, yes.
Okay. No, yes, so our friend. So I remember we were talking about this.
No, because the way you said, so do you know what? I think you didn't say the KY. I feel like I didn't hear the KY.
Okay, it's okay. Whatever.
Anyway, but yeah, shout out
if he's even listening. But yeah, I remember having this conversation. It was a long time ago. I think this was, I don't know when. And then he sent me a feelings wheel. And like just like an exercise to say like, okay, use that wheel. Like it starts off with the primary, where it's just like happy, sad. And then it goes and like, breaks down to like anxiety and this. And that was such a helpful process in the sense of like, you skip that part where you just feel overwhelmed, and then you'll
Can't pinpoint.
either you'll take it to anger, or you'll take it to I'm tired, or I'm frustrated, I'm overwhelmed, but you skip the process of this makes me sad, or this makes me feel this. And I think that's how I then started to prioritize, or even like pay attention to my feelings again, to say, okay, this is all right. And then that takes it the next step to even be able to express, where I think even like in relationships, like I think I would have trouble with conflict because of that. And until I discovered that this is a failure to recognize your feelings, for you to even be able to process it yourself and then express it. And then once you sort of get that chain, it becomes a bit better. It's easy to go back to default, but then I think once you have awareness and enough of a support system, it gets better.
So what's the coping mechanism now?
Now, I think now I'm a little bit better at dealing. So identifying and dealing, but I guess that's that trope of being busy, being tired. I think that's the coping mechanism, where it's just like bombarded with either work or busyness, or you just feel exhausted. And for me, if I find myself in a state of like exhaustion, normally I can see it if I just am losing the will to do things, that okay, fine, there's something that needs to be processed. And I think when I say now work is a bit of a healthy environment, it's because I'm flexible, I'm self-employed. So when I need to take a day off, I do. And it really helps, because like I literally say this is a mental health day. Rest, chill. You do whatever I need to do, journal. Playing guitar has been something that's been really good for me, because I don't get that much pleasure from talking, because it's like, I don't know how to explain it.
You do it for a living.
Huh?
You do it for a living.
But talking about feelings is different, and I feel like I get you.
Yeah.
Because for me, one of my coping mechanisms is like, if I'm feeling overwhelmed, I want to do something with my hands and then have something to show for it. So, for example, I'll bake. Or I'll make something, because I know like, okay, I'm following a process and I know what result I'll get at the end of it. That's how I kind of like take a step back and be like, okay, something is up with me, so I'm gonna bake.
Do you feel better after baking?
I do.
Do you feel clearer about the feeling after baking?
Maybe not always, but it helps me to at least give myself one, because remember how I said that I don't even give myself enough time to sit and think. So when I'm baking, because that's a good 30 minutes of prep work, you're there with your hand mixer, you're just like, okay, so what's the chat, dog? And then like I legit talk to myself during that time. And sometimes that helps. But then we had an interesting conversation. It was Men's Mental Health Month last month, right? And we had this guy come over who really kind of made me think, because he's like, okay, yeah, I mean, it's a coping mechanism, but is it healthy, right? Because it's one thing to have a coping mechanism, it's another to have a healthy coping mechanism. And that really kind of like challenged me to be like, okay, I actually need to figure out what's a good and healthy coping mechanism.
Fair.
Baking might be a coping mechanism, but I can't use it when I'm at work, and I feel like like I can't use that. So what else am I using? What else am I relying on when I'm away from a home?
Yeah. I think another thing that sort of transformed my perspective was therapy. I've only done it once for a certain period, but what I learned from that carried me through, because it was the first time I had to, almost on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, like think about what I'm gonna say. And that experience became the therapy itself.
Yeah.
Because then now you really have to ask yourself, okay, so how are you feeling? And then like sitting down with somebody who's just like, yeah,
And
I'm
let's
here
talk.
for you and your feelings. And you really express, like, so many things came out of that that taught me so much about myself. It's something that I haven't really done again, mainly because I don't think I'll ever find someone as good, because it was like in blues, and he even like stopped therapy. So I was just like, whatever. But it taught me so much, like even that feelings wheel thing, that's like a therapy thing, and that's like just practical tools that help you give yourself the steps of what does it mean to actually deal with something. Because you might be willing, but you're sitting down with your old habits and you're never going to change until you have a safe space or a professional who teaches you how to actually unpack this thing. And I found that those tools, or even just that process of thinking, okay, oh shit, I'm going to therapy, I need to, and they give you homework and stuff. They give you like practical things to really do and think about, and they pick on certain rhetorics or things that you say, and then you then are provoked into thinking deeper. Because like even now, this thing of busy, it's come up a lot between us, but are we really busy?
That's
and then now that process makes you start thinking, I'm busy, yay.
But another thing is like the micro stresses. I found myself the other day, I was cleaning something, and like I found that one of my favorite fits basically has like, let's just say there's like a stain which I couldn't get out, right? It's like an oil stain or something like that. And like it was so frustrating to me. Like it was like, it consumed me like for the whole day. Like, why is this happening like right now? And then it was like little things where it's like, okay, this happened, or I have to go drop off this person at this place. The road is terrible. The parking is weird. It's like these little things which like are inconsequential. But because you are in fight or flight mode, it's just like, it inflates things to the size, like, oh man, okay, the world. And I'm someone who's like, I deal with anxiety, but then because like, sometimes I feel like there's an expectation because I am this person, like I shouldn't like, it's show that I have like vulnerabilities, like, before I go on stage, I am intensely anxious. Like, it's not like a joke. Like, I'm literally like trying to remember every line. I have my routine. I've been practicing like painstakingly. And then I go there, I make it look easy. And I feel a lot of relief when I leave the stage. But then like, I remember I had to do a presentation in class, right? And like, I was shaking. And people didn't understand. They're like, you perform all the time. Like, why are you shaking? Like, but they didn't understand that, like, in that moment, it was just different. I don't know. It was just different. Because I had to do it in front of my whole class, and I have to talk about all these concepts. It's different for me rehearsing a song. People, it's loud. There's different energy. You get into it. It becomes fun at some point. But then there's certain things where it's like, okay, and I'll be hard on myself because I'll be like, yo, dude, like, you've been doing this for so long. Like, you've been talking in front of people for like, since you're in primary school. But the anxiety is just still there because it's just like, okay, like, how am I going to present stuff, etc. And even with the content, as you're talking about, you see, I post a lot of content, like reaction videos, etc. It's different when like your stuff is not hitting because you go back and go like, is there something wrong with me? Like, why didn't the song connect? Why didn't this piece of content connect? Does that mean like I'm not good at what I do? They don't like me. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, yo, and ever since even that whole Shabine thing, like, I don't want to be outside. Like, I just don't feel like it's a safe space. You know, people inviting me, they're like, yo, we've got this event, we've got this, we've got that. It's like, I ain't trying to perform. I just don't feel up to it.
I think that you just said I think that, you know how you were talking about you being bullied, your experience, and that, do you think that that should be moment kind of triggered that feeling again of like, I don't trust anyone, everybody's out to, everyone's trying to, and even like the tweets around that whole thing with the, two combies,
and whatnot.
you just kind of feel, I'm not safe. Like, I'm not even safe in this environment.
That's why I even started hitting gym back in the day. Because I was like, look, I have to put as much like defense as possible. Like, I'm like,
big, you can
don't be the, like, no one wants to try you.
Yeah, just look scary.
Just look scary at the very least. But they'll be like, nah, he's from the suburbs, he's skinny. And you see, like, especially like the high school I went to, PE, it's like, if you weren't playing rugby, you had to be like the super manly man type situation, And like, I was really like a nerd, like I was being my books, my anime, my games and whatnot. And then I was encouraged though by some friends like, become more outgoing, etc, childhood friends, etc. And I kind of found my own way of like, becoming more, outgoing and stuff. But it was like, that's why high school, when I see people like romanticizing like our high school, for me it's like, I don't know if I feel the same thing. Like for me it was kind of like a military camp, and like a lot of the people I meet them like now, and it's like, bro, I'm just not trying to meet you. Like I don't want to talk to you. But
now it's like, oh, I know this guy.
Exactly.
I went to high school with him, and you're like, you were rude, you were mean. Exactly. I hate you. I don't want to speak. Now you want to speak to me now.
Like, bro,
okay, but Six, what's the chat to yourself? You're feeling really anxious before you perform. You still go on to perform. What's the chat as you're going up the stairs to perform that makes you still perform?
I don't know if it's good or bad, but I like to fight with my fears. So like, I'll just do it scared. Like, I'm just gonna do this terrified. Either today fail or win, or I'll win.
Yeah.
Because I've also had bad shows where like I've gotten booed. I've gotten booed. I've gotten like zero response from the crowd sometimes. So it's kind of like, I try and picture like, you know what? It could go this way or that way. My only thing is to show up. Like that's the win.
It sounds a lot like going to court.
Also, so when I started therapy, it was really, the beginning of therapy is hard, because like I'm saying, you have to, and I used to go, I think when I started, I can't remember first, I think it was twice a week. I had to think of something to tell this lady twice a week, and it couldn't just be like, I'm fine. It had to be like, she had to like I had to really tell her things, so she would never be satisfied with any answer I gave her. Even if I'm like, that's deep, she's like, nah, you can go deeper. I'm like, so the exercise I had to do was to literally document my feelings from the time I woke up until the time I went to bed, and I woke up again and I went to bed, and like it would be, okay, what are you feeling? So it was like by hour, what are you feeling? What are you thinking? Right? What does that thought make you feel? Why do you think you're feeling that way? Why do you think you're feeling that way? You're feeling that way. Right? And it was like a 5-step thing, but it was like, because every feeling starts with a thought. And every thought has a feeling attached to it, right? So you'd have to do both. You'd have to, you feel anxious because you have a thought, right? So with Six's, let's say example, it would be, I feel anxious because I think people are not going to like me, right? Or people are not going to like what I put out there. And then it would be, okay, but why do you think people are not going to like you? All right, and then you have to say, I think people are not going to like me because I've had experiences where people have it. Okay, so how did that make you feel? Oh, that made me feel like nothing. Right. And then you'll be, okay, so if those people made you feel like nothing, do you think you are nothing? And then you'll be like, no, I don't think I'm nothing. Or yes, I do think I'm nothing. Why do you think you're nothing? You know, like you have to like keep going.
Why?
It was really just like, why? But like, again, every thought starts with, like every feeling, you feel the feeling, but then there was a thought that came before that. You might not have recognized the thought because you feel the feeling so intensely.
Yeah.
But then you have to say, okay, but what was I thinking before I felt it? And which is why that wheel comes into hand, because you have to then say, okay, but actually, what are you feeling?
Yeah.
Like, are you feeling sad? Or are you feeling frustrated? Or are you feeling angry? Or are you feeling like, what is it that you're actually feeling here? Because it's not enough to say, oh, I feel overwhelmed. It's not enough to say I feel angry, right? Anger is frustration and sadness. But are you feeling more frustrated or are you feeling more sad?
Yeah.
You know, and then you have to kind of like,
even anger at all?
is it even anger at all? Is that just the default word that you're calling it, right? And so going through, and me, I've had to be a heavy processor, so I process everything all the time, right? There's no me saying, dude, I don't have time for this, is because I genuinely don't. Like, I know I don't have time, because when I now process it very deeply.
When do you process?
I'm saying I process all the time. Like, if I say
you're busy, you're genuinely busy. But so
let's say it's like I'm in the middle of work. So it's whatever my version of lunchtime is, right? And like if something happens, like somebody texts me something that makes me feel something, I have to actively say, not right now. I will deal with it after work, or I'll think about it after work.
And then
right, and because like I'm saying, I don't have to think of or make time to process. I'm constantly processing, and I'm constantly processing very deeply, because I have tools to process.
Okay.
All the time, I can't even just be like, oh, I feel sad about this. I'm now going through the steps of, okay, but why do you feel sad? And then why? And then what made you think that? And then what in your childhood was so traumatic that made you think now your adulthood? You know what I mean? Because I think maybe sometimes when you have the tools to do it,
it's easier,
but it could also make it harder, in the sense that now every feeling is processed, every thought process is processed, right? To the extent that like,
so you over
process, and so now you have to be like, sometimes I have to sit down and say, okay, you're feeling this very intensely, but is it even that serious? And then sometimes even I'm like, it wasn't actually like the thing that person said. After I processed, I'm like, okay, maybe I overreacted.
So because you over process, how do you deal with a friend that under processes? Because kind of going back to this dilemma person, right? That maybe she could also just be, her friend could also be somebody who under processes things, and she's somebody who over processes.
Right.
And then that now kind of makes their friendship, she feels like, this one isn't paying enough attention to me as much as she would to her friend. But then it's because her friend just doesn't think on the same level that she does.
You know what? I think I like to know that my friends are okay, right? And can I spill a bit of tea? Our tea, though. Our tea. Ours. You have to give me
about the call we had the other day.
Yeah.
But okay,
without detail.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So I saw something, right, that Chido hadn't told me. Right.
But you see, I hadn't told you because it didn't, in my mind, you actually over-processed it for me. Because I hadn't even thought of it in that way. Like, to me, it was just like,
It's okay. You see, but like I saw something she hadn't told me, and then I called her and I was like, mate, how come you didn't tell me this thing happened? Right? And she's like, oh, I didn't think it was important. And I was like, what? Okay, so why wouldn't she like say? But then now I wanted to know, like, my question to her was like, are you okay with it? And she was like, oh, I haven't thought about it. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, why haven't you thought
I hadn't thought about it because it wasn't deep. Like it wasn't something that affects me. at all. Like, I mean, of course it affects me, but then,
it's gonna sound like, okay, without context, this is really gonna sound like I'm crazy. But the reason why I'm saying it affects me, but at the same time, it didn't affect me in a
you guys
negative
need to give us
way.
something more.
We'll
Is
give
it
you
like
more. We'll give you more. But no, it's
but even the listeners, what are we talking? Is it like a bereavement?
No.
Is it a...
No, but hold on. My point was, right, I'm a person who likes to know that her friends are okay. So I did over process it because I was thinking, oh my God, this could be something that, like, because I know she's not a processor.
This could tip her over.
This could be something that, like, really does affect her, and she won't share it unless I go ask her and be like, mate, I saw this thing. Are you okay about it? And she hadn't thought about it. And so we sat there and we kind of went through it, and we're like, and eventually it was like, okay, no, I know she's fine.
Yeah.
Right. I know she's fine. I think this is great for her. She doesn't see it yet, but I'm happy, and like, it's great. Right. And so if I have, because I'm an overprocessor, a lot of my friends are not. Right. So a lot of the times I have to be like, mate, I've thought about this for you.
She got
Let me think about it for you, and like, let me see if you're okay. And then now back to the dilemma, it then comes to be, it could end up being that I could kind of come out as nosy or pushy because I'm constantly being like, if I see something, if I see a status, and I'm like, that's off. I'm going to text you. I'm going to ask you, mate. I don't care how you feel about it, but like, this is how I feel about it. Let me tell you, because I've already overprocessed it. I've thought about it 100 times, and and I won't feel okay until I talk to you about it. So it could end up being like, she really wants to be in my business. She wants to know a lot, or she's trying to create something where there's nothing. Because in that moment, you could have been like, you're trying to start drama where there is none. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, if I then get to the point where I'm like, okay, if I've asked you and I've come to you with it and you say you're okay, I'm going to take your word for it and then move.
And to be honest, I really am okay.
And just like, but I think that's
not
how
a word. It's not a I'll take your word for it. It's like,
it's like, I'm really okay. Yeah. So I think sometimes you also have to balance. You have to also know that, like, not everybody's about like you. And again, like I said before, expect less from people. Because I'm an overprocessor, I don't expect everybody to be overprocessors. I don't also expect you to understand sometimes. Like, I could be going through things. I think here I'm possibly the only person who's been through a bereavement like that. I wouldn't expect you to be like, why don't you understand? Like, where would you have gotten context from? One day when you people join me, I will be the one to be like, let me tell you how to deal with this. This is, there's a lighter way of looking at it. And like I'm saying, because I'm a heavy feeler anyway, sometimes I actually have to dial it back and say, mate, it was not that deep. It was like that person made a comment, but it wasn't that serious. Like, you need to also calm down, But you do need, in either way, you do need tools to be able to deal with your own emotions, before you express them, because then you end up expressing anger and that person is completely confused. Why? Like, why are you so angry? And you're like, oh, maybe, now you have to like dial it back. But before you express it, you kind of have to process it yourself, which is why either people go really quiet because they either haven't had time to process it or they don't know how to process it. And I think I asked Amma, I was like, but when you then do process it, how does that feel? Because sometimes processing can also be really heavy on yourself, so you avoid. If you're an avoidant person, you're like, I know this is going to be it's going to be even overwhelming for me to sit down and think about, okay, but how did that make me feel? And then you end up crying and you end up being depressed and you spend 3 days in bed because even for you, it's too much. Now imagine wanting to put that on somebody else.
So what are we saying in this episode as our closing remarks? What are we saying?
slow down. Stop distracting yourself.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, from this whole chat, I just feel like I need to do better. I need to be a better friend and
I think we all need to.
we just all need to be better. Yeah.
Slow down.
Slow down for your, not just, even if it's not for yourself, slow down and
For yourself.
for yourself, yeah,
yourself.
and for the people that you care about as well.
No.
For yourself.
we don't need that.
Oh, you don't need me to make time for you guys?
The slowing down is more like for, I think the more you take care of yourself is better for everyone. And the more you do things and tell yourself you're doing it for your friends, I think that's
yeah,
slippery
okay, I
slope,
get that,
because we
yeah.
didn't ask for that.
This is true. Yeah. Do it for yourself. All right.
My last words are allow people to show up for you. Like, tell them. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Tell them.
I don't know about that one.
I mean, you're not going to agree with me. Just tell
want
me,
her?
Amma.
Do you want
tell
her?
me.
Tell her.
Tell me.
Tell you
I
what.
want to know.
This is good.
There's like, I want to know.
To have a young 10K.
What? You want 10K?
Oh my
Do I get it back? You just want me to
Wait,
give
you
you
have
10K?
That's what I need.
You have to?
Cheeto. Let's close this episode.
I will follow you home.
It's okay not to be okay.
6.
Yeah.
6.
It's not to be okay.
That's giving.
I think okay, can we close the episode so that we can do some
Sure,
6 a little bit?
Yeah, it's okay not to be okay. Because life is not okay, guys.
You're saying that. You're saying that like it's okay for everyone, but it's not. You're not applying.
Yeah.
I don't know, guys.
Talk to 6. We said fuck everybody else.
Okay. Yeah. Keep pushing.
All right, that's the end. Bye. Our episode.